Reed, did you watch the Baylor game last Friday?
Yeah, it really sucked.
I think a big problem was our fans. And I think Auburn clearly had some great fans.
Yeah, I mean, from what I saw, I agree. Absolutely.
So I brought on the only Auburn fan I know, Braden, to discuss college football and try to learn more from the master.
Great idea. Hey, Braden, welcome to the show.
Thanks, boys. Let's do it.
All right, Braden, first question. What do you do when Auburn wins?
I come
So, what made you go to Auburn?
kind of crap the bed.
Oh, so Auburn wasn't your first choice? What was?
Alabama,
Wow, why didn't you go there? Did you get in?
negative,
So Auburn was your second choice.
negative. Texas A&M,
Auburn surely must have been your third choice.
negative. Baylor,
Okay, when did you start making bad decisions?
LSU versus Auburn, 2010.
That makes a lot of sense. Who do you think is the most overrated QB ever?
Yeah, Cam Newton,
Related question. Least talented quarterback ever?
Nick Marshall.
So, what is the dumbest college football tradition?
I've got two.
Okay, give us the first one.
Rolling Toomer's corner after a game.
I agree. What about the second one?
Everyone, doing War Eagle and watching the Eagle fly.
Do you prefer watching football players on the field or in the locker room?
Hey, either way is fun.
How do you feel about Auburn's chances this year?
Crappy.
Totally unrelated question. What's your political affiliation?
Communist.
Okay, last question. Are you still an Auburn fan?
I've stopped caring.
Wow, that was enlightening. It seems like things really can get worse than being a Baylor fan. Welcome back to Is This Thing On, the podcast that takes you inside the chaos, comedy, and glory of our league. I'm Reed Watson, and with me as always, my co-host Patrick. Patrick, how do you feel?
Dead inside. We've got a great lineup this episode. First, we are going to make our picks of the week. Then we're sitting down with Caleb to talk about last week and the financial status of our FanDuel account. After that, Michael Roach joins us for Who's This Guy? Strap up, it's going to be a ride.
Is this thing on? Yeah. Probably not, but we're still here, giving it all we got. Fantasy football with zero fame. Too much effort for a made-up game. Is this thing on? Who knows? Who cares? Let's go!
Before we talk about this last week, we're going to take a look ahead with our picks for the next week. Patrick?
Okay, up first, we have my team, No More Orgies, versus Spencer, Smith, and Athens County Department. I am a 67-point favorite, and the over-under is 277. I am going to say that I'm going to cover.
Yeah. I came in this week expecting to pick against you for the next week, and I can't do it. I'm going to have you cover too. And I'm going to go with the under because I think he scores less than he's projected to.
I think I score less than I project too, and I think, he goes for another record-breaking week with sub-50 points. Next up, we have Drinking on Freeze by Josh versus All Aboard the Lane Train by Michael. The spread is a tight 15 points, and the over-under is 370. Who do you like here, Reed?
I like Michael's team. Reviewing it last week, I think he's got some good things going on. So I'm going to go with Michael to take his side, and I'll take the over on that. I think they're both good teams.
Okay, I'm going to hit the under, and I do have a correction. Drinking on Freeze is run by Braden. Apologies, I can't keep these new members straight. But next, we have Runaway Beer run by Josh against Austin with Elko for Heisman. We have Austin's a 27-point favorite, and it is a 311-point over-under. I am going to smash the under. And I do actually like our new member, Josh, here. What do you got, Reed?
Yeah, absolutely on that under. That's crazy high. And Fantrax has not been. They're optimistic at best. But I'll go with Josh as well.
All right. Next up, we have Arches on this team, run by our beloved Ricky, versus Hail Mary Heroes, run by Hunter. These are two longtime lead members, and Hunter is a 9-point favorite, and the over-under is 313. I actually, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I'm going to pick Ricky here. I don't think Arch is going to struggle against San Jose State the way he did against Ohio State.
That is fair, but I'm a believer in Texas being bad. So and Ricky being bad. So I'm going to take Ricky to lose. He's playing. He said he's playing Hunter.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have Hunter cover, but I am gonna take the over on that one.
Okay. Quick aside, Ricky has Jack injuries on his team, and I play in an online dynasty with Ricky and a few other guys, and the guy who had Jack injuries got 3,300 receiving yards because he's a cheesy bastard. Shout out to Yale if he ever listens to this. Next matchup, we have my esteemed co-host Reed with You Who's Your Daddy versus Jason, boo, the return of the Bad Mother Uckers. The spread is 51 points, and the over-under is 330. There's no shot you cover here, Reed. I do like you as the outright victor, and I am going to hit the under.
Yeah, I'm less confident than last week, but I do think I win this one. I don't think I cover, but I'm going to take the over on that. I do think Jason's team is a little better than he's projected to be.
All right, next up we have Hook 'em Horns, run by our very own Dylan, versus Scott Reed Doesn't Know by Cameron. Cameron drafted Sawyer Robertson 1-2 and then sat him on his bench week 1. He seems to have recovered from that mistake and is starting him. But I still like Hook 'em Horns to win this one, and the spread is 43. So I think Cameron covers, and the over-under is 283. I'm going to take the over there.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Sawyer Robinson. I think he airs it out. So I'll have that side of the line, and but I'll take the over.
Okay, next up we have the surprise team of week 1, Scott's Odds, run by Caleb Simmons, versus Orange Honey Badgers, run by Ken. Caleb dropped the most points in the league last week. He's projected to have the second most points, or top 3 in the league this week. He looks legit. I am going to take Ken to cover the spread, but which is, by the way, 55, and the over-under is 298. I think it's Ken to cover, and both teams do well to go over.
Yeah, it's hard to look at a spread that high and not pick Ken to cover. I agree, but I'll take the under. I think that Caleb was a little overrated, just a little.
All right, next we have Orange Tigers as a 19-point favorite versus South Harmon Institute of Technology, run by Brandon. Orange Tigers run by Jeremy. I'm tempted to go Brandon here, but I'm going to side with the PhD in economics, and I'm going to say Jeremy covers the 19-point spread. The over-under is 327. Both teams are strong. I actually think they're going to go over that week.
Yeah, I am going to stand by what I thought going into this whole season, that Brandon has a really good team. I think he's going to bounce back. I think he's going to cover. I think he might even win. And I am going to take the over in that case because I think he pushes past those projections.
Now, ultimate question: does Brandon replace the injured player in his lineup before Saturday? Time will tell.
Brandon, please listen to the podcast and then do it.
Next, we have Take It or Leave It by Evelyn versus Bear Force One by Tyler. Evelyn is a 7.5-point favorite, and the over/under is 292. I like Evelyn to cover. I don't like the over here. I like the under. I think Tyler's team sucks. I think Tyler sucks as a person. Those are my picks.
Tyler's now had a week on the waiver wire, which is something you got to consider. I'm going to take him to cover. And I'm going to take the over. Whenever I pick the underdog, I'll take the over.
Okay. Next, we have Tusk Illuminati with the 182 versus Where'd My Window, run by Peter, for 174. It's an 8-point spread. A massive over-under of 356. I love the under here. Like, take out the mortgage, bet the under. And I think Peter gets the upset because to beat me, you must be the best. And Peter beat me last week.
I see. That is a childhood friend matchup. I don't have a lot of those in this league. Pretty cool. I'm going to take the other side. Again, much like my assessment of Brandon, I'm going to stick with my week 1 estimations, people in this league, Jay has a good team. I think he covers. And you know what? I'd love to see that over. So I'm gonna vote for it because I want to see it.
Okay, this is direct for the two members in that matchup. Peter and Jay, make a sweatshirt bet out of this, but make it really sad. Custom ordered sweatshirt with the other person's fantasy team name. It'll cost you no less than $45 to do this. It will take months to ship to your house. But if y'all had any honor, that is what would be on the line this week. And that's been Crossing Lines.
Awesome. Let's take a look at next week after the break.
Notre Dame nostalgia. Just because it happened before you were born doesn't mean it can't make you happy. From Joe Montana's comebacks to Paul Hornick's Heisman to Newt Rockney's speeches and the Four Horsemen charging into history, we bring the past to life so you can celebrate like it's 1947. Notre Dame nostalgia. History never gets old.
All right, we had I can't say a good week fantasy football, but a week. And I don't want to talk about it. Patrick don't want to talk about it. So we're going to bring on Caleb to help us out. Caleb, welcome to the show.
Hi, great to meet you all. I've honored to be on this podcast, first podcast I've ever been on. I've always wondered if you can say penis on a podcast. And so I just...
Penis.
No, I'm bleeping that shit. Not on my show.
That's fair. So let's just rip the Band-Aid off. Let's talk about our matchups first, Reed. This is true. If Nick Harbor's touchdown doesn't get overturned, I win week 1. I beat the median. I'm 2-0 instead of 0-2. We could talk about a lot of specifics, but ultimately I have to think that Peter placed a call at the highest levels of the review offices and screwed me. And so this whole season kind of is played under forfeit.
It's really crazy because he seems so nice in reviews on the podcast. I can't believe he would have done that.
Yeah, well, it's actually consistent with who I know. Okay. Reed, let's talk your matchup. That had to sting.
It was rough, like on a couple of different levels. 1, felt really good going into it. That hurts. 2, Baylor lost. And in the fashion that Baylor lost, the offense worked awesome, except Bryson Washington did nothing. So that hurt.
He also had a big play overturned by a flag.
He did. Yeah.
Okay.
Wouldn't have saved me, but
Point?
Wait, what was that?
Reed, would that big play have covered your 40-point deficit?
No. It definitely would not have.
It wasn't a 400-yard touchdown run?
Dylan Edwards being out hurt. That team looks good. They're going to run the ball well.
One narrative I want to hit is I feel like Arch on Saturday morning, the whole country was like, good Lord, Arch sucks. And Arch did suck. He only put up 12 points. But you know who sucked even worse simultaneously? Caden Belkamp put up -2. So awesome. Did you think when you drafted him that you were going to get -2 from him?
If I had, I think I would leave the league. So, no, I think I looked back. Last year he had 10 interceptions. So, and 3,000 yards. So, 4 in 1 week was hard to predict against Maryland. So that hurt.
What's unfortunate is I saw it coming. Next matchup is Cookham Corns, 141, Tuscaloosa 112. I think going into the week, Tuscaloosa was let me look at the spreads here, a 47.5 point favorite. So Jay was just a huge favorite. And, I think Cookham Corns was not very good last year. Basically he won 2 games. So Jay was a huge favorite against a team who won 2 games last year and blew it. I can't think of any analogies for that, but if y'all think of anything, let me know. But we can just go ahead and go to the next about being just a huge favorite against a team that won 2 games last year. I don't know.
He has a really great roster too. He's recruited well.
Full of 5 stars.
Right.
Yeah.
Did
wow.
Cookham Corns start last season out of the country too? I think if I remember correctly, there was something about him starting last season out of the country.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
true.
that's right. I think he played one of his games in like week one was like Scotland or Germany or something. I don't know. Something on, but it's I wish there was like I'm usually really good at analogies, but I just can't think of one for Jay being a huge favorite losing to a team that won like 2 games last year. Dang. Okay. Next matchup, Hail Mary Heroes, Hunter beat Drinking on Freeze, Braden, 138, 125. Both teams beat the median here, so no one's walking away empty-handed. But this was a very interesting match. I think if Hunter can count on getting more than 5 points from Klubnik, he's going to be a formidable force going forward next, over the season. And the other thing I noticed is like Texas State's quarterback for Braden, 37 points, but Texas State's running back for Hunter, 25. It might be that Texas State is going to be like a fantasy powerhouse with their Sun Belt schedule. We'll see if that holds up when they go to the Pac-12. Have y'all remembered that Texas State's going to the Pac-12? Have y'all like retained that?
Wait,
I didn't know
no.
that.
That is very real.
Surely we talked about it at some point, but
they're going to the Pac-12. Isn't that absurd?
Nothing more.
They're also
fitting.
playing A&M this weekend, right?
I guess the San Marcos River, like if you draw it out, eventually gets to the Pacific coast, and so I do think they should have to go by boat to all of their games.
Sure.
They should just figure it out. But yeah, no, they're going to be in the Pac-12. So good win for the Pac-12. It's a pretty long drop. And then on the bench, Marcel Reed for Braden, 39 points.
On the bench.
For someone's debut week, I think Braden showed a lot that it's going to make him a threat this year.
I think what's the most interesting about this matchup to me is if you look at the first 3 lines, you think Braden just probably dominated the week. So it's good to see him get out of week 1. I always support our expansion picks in the beginning of the year, so it's good to see him get out of week 1 with at least a 1-1 record.
Absolutely. All right, moving on to someone who did not get a 1-1 record, Elko for Heisman versus Orange Honey Badger. So this was Austin versus Ken. I think that's kind of one of the rivalries in the league. Ken, I think, historically has been the Vanderbilt / Kansas of this league. However, both Vanderbilt and Kansas look pretty good this year, and maybe Ken does too. Who knows?
Yeah. 1 quarterback of the week.
Yeah, that's a nice $5.
Yeah.
I do like looking at Elko for Heisman's roster. One thing that I was informed of yesterday is that the kicker, Randy Bond for Texas A&M, he got 0 points, but he is technically a starter. He is considered by Texas A&M their long-range kicker. And so anything that's within 50, he's not kicking the field goal, but if it's beyond 50, he's going to be pulled in. None of those 50-yarders against
that makes no sense.
I've seen those arrangements before, by the way, and every single time a team does this, when the guy who's like, "Oh, this is our long-range guy," comes on, they absolutely shank it, presumably because they haven't kicked a ball in like 4 weeks.
Right. I guess the thinking is you want to give your short-range guy the confidence, he shouldn't be shaken by missing a 50-yarder. He just gets 100% and he feels good.
And from the fantasy perspective, usually the kicker is my spot where I'm go big or go home in. And so I do like this methodology for Austin. I'm excited to see how it pans out.
I think that is a really stupid idea from a fantasy perspective, as getting 0 points from extra points over the season. There's just no way.
But the game, they're a difference. They're a big difference.
I'd like to point out, because I saw him on this roster on the bench. So Kevin Jennings, Patrick, do you remember that? I was considering first round, 1-1 pick, and I was like, I don't know who to go, and I was like, I kind of need a quarterback for running backs of the year, and you were like, oh, Kevin Jennings, he's going to look good.
So he did have an FCS multiplier. And a fluky fumble.
So he scored 5 points.
Actually, more than that. So this is a good thing to cover. FCS multiplier this year works where it's not half of everything. Negative categories are doubled and positive categories are halved.
It's half of every stat.
And so interceptions, Kevin Jennings actually got -8 for interceptions. He got -8 for fumbles lost instead of this typical -4 each. And
so his one interception and his one fumble don't look that bad. That's not a big deal.
It wasn't good. I don't think he looked good, but he actually scored something like 18 to 20 points if it had been a normal week.
The more you know.
Yeah, so we could just...
Little PSA.
All right, we got to get quicker at this. And one of the nice things is we don't have to cover this next one because Spencer didn't show up and only put up 57 points. We don't really need to show up and cover them in the recap. Congrats to Jeremy on the privilege of playing Spencer. Okay, next up we have Runaway Beer Truck, one of the new teams, versus All Aboard the Lane Train, Michael versus Josh. This is a very close match, and I think Josh, again, for an expansion team, showed out. He got really unlucky with kind of two swing guesses, like with Hogan Hansen and Jamari McClure, going for 0 points each. But then he got really, really unlucky with his Nevada running back, who put up -5.5. I think,
and Sire Gaines looked like he'd be good.
Yes.
That looked better than it should have been.
And honestly, I haven't seen a lot of teams lose 3 fumbles in 1 week. And so to lose by such a small margin, when literally if any one of those fumbles isn't lost, he wins. I feel like Josh should feel okay about where his team is at, even though he went 0-2. For Michael, maybe you shouldn't have to have 3 fumbles to beat a team that just joined the league. Maybe you should look inward. I feel better about Josh's situation than Michael's after that.
It's worth noting Desmond Reed, so number 1 pick and number 2 pick, both kind of busted this week, looking down.
Yeah, but again, we have the FCS multiplier here, and so Reed actually had 2 touchdowns. I think he'll be fine.
It is worth noting that Desmond Reed did go 3rd.
Oh, he went 3rd. That's right.
2nd was on the next matchup of the week, which is the Scotter Doesn't Know against Take It or Leave It.
Okay, 2nd overall pick. Oh, wait. I know the 2nd overall pick was. It was Sawyer Robinson, who did not start. And he should have. He scored so many points on the bench. You drafted him 2nd, Cameron, which is an incredible display of faith, and then sat his ass first week.
My favorite portion about this, and you did just add me onto this podcast to talk about kickers. Is that correct?
Yeah, I just want kicker information.
Because Texas Tech's kicker started by hitting the first 2 extra points and then made a field goal for 29 yards. He then missed the next extra point, which got him benched, and due to the double multiplier against an FCS school, wound up on the week with -3.55 while Texas Tech rolls on to a 67-7 win.
I love that. I think that's amazing. Now, one of the players I want to call out, Malik Washington on Ev's bench. I don't think it was wrong for her not to start him. She drafted him 12th round. He's a true freshman, and he lit up Florida Atlantic, 28 points. That could be a cornerstone for Ev going forward. Good win for Ev. She beat her opponent. She beat the median. Next matchup, we don't really need to address. Matchup after that, I'm just kidding. It was Caleb. Caleb's team looks really, really good. It's really annoying. I feel like Caleb has, in the dynasty era, struggled to put together a strong roster week 1, even when he looked like it was really good in the offseason. This has got to be encouraging. Caleb, how do you feel?
I feel pretty strong exiting week 1. I do think that there's a lot of PTSD that was going into this matchup. Tyler was being very considerate with his text, and he was texting a lot of nice things throughout the weekend, and I kept messaging him back that he was reverse jinxing me. And there was a point where Penn State gave up a late touchdown, and it was after I had just had a number of people go off for the 1 point and the 7 points. And I texted Tyler and said, well, there it is. You can lock this in as a W for your team.
That was such a horrific prediction.
And so if you were wondering if I feel the effects of my terrible week 1 fantasy management. I do. And it does impact me on Saturdays as I'm watching the games.
One specific player I want to call out for Tyler is Chris Hilton, who caught the ball one time, he lost a yard and then fumbled. And then they were just like, fuck giving the ball to Chris Hilton anymore, which I totally get that coaching decision from Brian Kelly.
Go back to my text threads with Tyler, and he did message me on Sunday saying, hey, do you still want Chris Hilton?
And
yeah,
Tyler and I were in a race for worst quarterback, and he won. He did win.
That's incredible. Yeah, Gio Lopez is... That North Carolina game was extremely funny. A couple guys on the bench I want to call out. Michael Trigg for Caleb. If he is a true game-changing player at tight end, putting up 15, 20 points, that really will strengthen him as a title contender. And then, not as good of news, Jaden Ott appears to be buried on the OU depth chart. You got 1 carry, -3 yards. They want to get him involved, they say, but I don't think it looks good for Ott in Oklahoma.
Yeah, the expectation for Ott with Oklahoma is that he wasn't going to have carries week 1, and maybe even this week. He's still nursing an injury.
So we'll see. We'll see if he turns around. You kind of hope he doesn't lose the job while he's hurt. Next up, I would say this was the matchup I was following the closest besides my own, was Brandon versus Jason. Brandon looks very, very good, and I thought he had it at several points this week. But those Sunday, Monday games, which was kind of a fun thing in fantasy this week, was tracking it all the way to the end of the week. Got him. You know, Jordan Shipp was the only player for North Carolina that woke up. He put up a solid game. And then, you know, Clemson's tight end didn't give much to Brandon, neither did Malachi Fields. I think that one's the one that hurts the most, is Malachi Fields going 3.8.
Yeah. And that's a throwing offense this year, or should have been, or should be with a quarterback. Like Jeremiah Love, for some reason, not running, should mean Malachi Fields has a great game, and it didn't.
A lot of fumbles this week, too.
For the game it was Malachi Fields versus Jordan Shipp. They were neck and neck going into that Sunday night. And then Malachi Fields had the same effect of caught a pass, fumbled it, and then they didn't throw to him again.
But one thing that Brandon has that I think is one of the most prized commodities in our league is a stud from Baylor. Cole Wilson looked phenomenal. I think he should be really excited about having him. 8 catches, 134 yards. He also had a huge kick return. Or maybe it was a punt return, but just a very, very, very good player. He should be stoked about that. That's a Texas State transfer too. So Texas State's producing the offense these days. What's your kicker update for this game, Caleb?
My kicker update for this game is that Max Gilbert at 9.4 is a very strong potential for being best kicker by Jason. Jason, I appreciate your draft strategy. Keep him up. My only other comment would be Jordan Dwyer on Brandon's bench. He is clear wide receiver 1 for TCU. That guy was a monster against UNC. Brandon has a lot of potential.
Yeah, I think this is a strong year for Brandon. Deep roster, and I think he'll have the assets to make a move at the deadline. All right, that was a great week 1. One of the things that didn't happen week 1 is we didn't win $80,000 to go to Mexico. And so for this segment, Caleb's going to go over the week's picks, who blew it, who owes us $80,000, and also talk a little bit about the logistics of the parlay bets going forward. Caleb, take it away.
Well, thanks, Patrick and Reed. So typically this will be a relatively short segment, but I did think that it was worth coming on because we had a little bit of a unique week 1. One of the items that we learned was that we had a $300 bonus bet that had to be placed week 1. And so one thing that we did not inform the rest of the teams or anyone was that we actually utilized everybody's picks this week to be able to place straight bets, because if we used the bonus bet and we won the bonus bet, then that turned into true income. And so there were some comments that were going back and forth about hedging our bets and emotional hedging on the Auburn-Baylor game. We ended up not doing that. That would have been a really good decision in hindsight. But instead, we took people's bets and put them straight out. And on a week that we went 10-4, that was probably the best outcome that we possibly could have had, because we ended up cashing out very, very, very significantly for that. And the thought behind this was ultimately when we were looking at, well, how do we take everybody's money and put it into a platform? Excuse me. And how do we take everybody's money and put it into a platform that will be able to generate the most potential? I was going through a handful of different betting websites, found that FanDuel had one that had a good bonus option. And then the thought was, well, we can use that bonus to be able to fuel our bets every single week and get to that potentially $80,000 mark. So instead of having $5 a week, we can take that and multiply it. So great job, great week overall to everybody who placed their bets. Thank you for helping us choose a variety of winning bets. And for the 10 people who either lost or didn't place your bets, this should be a lesson learned to you and will dramatically impact your most valuable gambler.
Oh yeah, most valuable gambler. Talk about that. So I've had some questions. Is most valuable gambler just like, should I just be picking the biggest favorite every week?
Good question. So it's ultimately a weighted system, and the way that it's weighted is if you don't pick, then that goes as a total negative for you. And so it actually hurts you more to not pick than to pick and lose. On the other side, if you choose a huge plus money odds, so say you chose somebody who was a 14-point underdog, FAU is a great example from Michael, who said, hey, for anybody who wants to have a surefire win this week on your own money, go ahead and just put that money on FAU outright, and then they ended up losing by 35. Had we done that, then that would have impacted you negatively because you chose a huge plus money person and then they ended up losing. And so not only did you lose the parlay, but you also did it in a really risky fashion. And so that would hurt you significantly too. On the other side, if you choose a minus money odds and you choose somebody who's very heavily favored, then you're usually going to win that week. And so for your impact towards most valuable gambler, will it help you? Yes, but will it help you significantly? Not necessarily, because it's almost a gimme pick and it doesn't really help the odds a lot. And so if we chose 12 minus 10,000 odds, then you turn your $10 into $20 that week. And that doesn't get anybody to Mexico.
And then you have said that your actual like status in the lodging in Mexico will depend on how good you do at this, right? So like best overall is getting the king bed. Worst overall is sleeping on the beach.
Yeah, that's correct. And mind you, we're talking about Mexico, so I don't think that you want to sleep on the beach in Mexico.
That's where all the best coke is.
Yes.
White sand beaches.
So who blew our parlay this week? Why am I not going to Mexico?
That's a great question. So the parlay ultimately wrecked based on our hometown heroes in Baylor. And it was a fan favorite pick. Everybody hearted the pick as soon as they saw it come through. Evelyn was the noble hero who put Baylor in the chat, and she was ultimately the one who lost us the parlay. I will say that the very next game also lost, and so it wasn't just Evelyn in this. I do have to say that because I'm married to her.
Yeah, I was to say, you sound soft. You sound baby soft.
I have to exit this room and have a conversation with this person.
Gross. This is only an endorsement.
It's also tough that it's tough that on a weekend where there were like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday games, and we went 10-4, because there would have some weeks if we went 10-4 on a normal week where it's all Saturday slate, we might have a good cash out opportunity, early on, so to lose on Friday before most of our bets had settled was hard.
Let's talk cash out, because there's been some questions about that. I think I'm staunchly against. But obviously if we go with 13 for 13, there's going to be real questions there. And you'll just have to trust whoever that rules committee is, that they'll do a good job making those kind of decisions for everyone.
Like that.
I do think we'll talk. If we're at 13 for 13 and the cash out is 30 grand, 30 versus 80, and we're looking at Texas playing Ohio State to end, we're probably taking that money out. Or Bama, Florida State. Heaven forbid.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much. I think everyone in the league, this is a lot of work Caleb's putting into running the bets. Really grateful he's doing it for free. He also gave us the bonus bet for his account. That is a single-use thing that you get when opening an account, so I really appreciate it. And I think it's added a big, very fun wrinkle.
Yeah. So what is the current status of our pot?
As of today, if we were to place the bet as it stands, it would result in $18,000 coming back. If we were to increase that, and we have a couple, I think we're waiting on 9 people at the time of recording. If any of those add bets, then that will only multiply pretty significantly from there.
This podcast brought to you by Jason's Basketball Camp. Want to learn how to beat the top WNBA and women's college basketball players? Go to Jason's Basketball Camp. Yeah, Odyssey Sims may look like she averages 28 points per game in the Big 12, but you can take her to the post. No high school basketball or junior high basketball experience required. Jason's Basketball Camp. Sign up today.
It's time for Who's That Guy segment. Today, we're joined by Michael. Welcome to the show. I want to get right into it because I have no idea who you are. Who are you? Who do you root for? And how did you get involved in this league?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Appreciate you guys having me on. I was checking my bank account this morning. I don't think I've seen the $1,000 deposit for my appearance today, so I'm sure that'll pop in once I'm done here. But yeah, Michael Schroff, born in Cincinnati, Ohio, live in DC. Joined the league through Caleb. So Caleb and I worked together. Really, our friendship started because of college football. And so when you guys started doing the expansion, he was like, hey, do you want to join this crazy dynasty league? And I was like, I'm a fan of college football, but like to say I'm in the weeds of all this stuff is a little bit of a stretch. But yeah, I like to gamble and I like to, do fantasy, and it's a fun little activity to jump into. From a fanhood perspective, per my name on the Lane Train, I am an Ole Miss fan. I spent 1 year there before I transferred to Miami of Ohio. At Miami of Ohio, we lost 21 straight games, so not really much of a football culture there, more of a drinking culture. So that's kind of how I got here.
I do feel like Ole Miss and Miami of Ohio have that in common, getting absolutely wasted on Saturdays, and that's about where the similarities end.
Yeah, I would completely agree. Both schools like to party. Both schools are in Oxford. But Miami, we show up to class on Monday, and Ole Miss, it was what time does the bar open on Monday?
That's fantastic. So last year, I felt like you had a really strong roster coming into the season, and I think you did as well because you actually made a win now trade for Emeka Egbuka, the Ohio State stud, and you must have felt really strongly because you went ahead and sent TJ Moore, a freshman at Clemson with huge potential, and a 6th-round pick. There was a couple problems though, Michael. You lost pretty much immediately, did not make the playoffs, and Emeka Egbuka sucked. Care to defend yourself?
Yeah, I have no defense. I mean, I think I've got a couple core values that I stick to when it comes to this league, and one of them is I'm not a big Ohio State fan. I actually hate Ohio State, being from Ohio. Like, nobody went to Ohio State who's an Ohio State fan. It's like Ohio State football, Notre Dame football, and Kentucky basketball. Like, no one went there, but everybody is a diehard fan. So I went against a core value in the attempt to win, and it really bit me in the butt. And I ultimately blame Caleb as well, because I will never trade with him again. Every trade he throws at me, I feel like he's trying to get one over on me in a moment of weakness. I thought I could potentially win and do something, and I went against my core values around the Ohio State players. And I don't like watching Ohio State. I'm not going to cheer for Ohio State, so why would I put a wide receiver on my team to try to win this year?
If you let Caleb get one over on you, that's a real low moment in this league.
Yeah, I know it is. It's tough. I have a call with him every Thursday where we check in and see how things are going. And I thought we were a better place from a friendship perspective, and just couldn't get it done.
You're married, right, Michael?
Correct. Yes.
How does she feel about the league?
So she absolutely loves to make fun of me for this league. She's waiting for the draft recap to come out to see how poorly I did in the draft. She encourages all of the making fun of my teams in my league, but she's a big college football fan, so she'll watch games with me and cheer who I have, but she expects for me to lose every week.
Fair enough.
Wow,
So
that
now-
is
yeah.
fantastic. Not disengaged, but engaged and rooting against is a real
Yeah.
narrow lane for a spouse to play. I love it.
But and you know what? She will fit in very well with all of our wives. So it's fair. Awesome. Well, I want to go ahead and move on to another segment, Who's Your Daddy and Who's Your Children? This is the person that has just whooped your ass in this league, and the person who you've consequently beat every other time. So I believe Patrick's done the deep research on this. Who is his daddy and who are his children?
You know, Michael, you're in a rare case because I don't know if you've ever met your daddy in person, but
Nope.
Cameron is beating you 4 out of 5 times you've played in this league. It is both rare how many times you've played and how many times he's kicked your ass in your short time in this league. But I will say, you are, and Reed, you're not going to believe this.
Shut
You are Reed's daddy. You have beaten him 2 out of 3 times. Congrats on your new child. It must be wonderful to meet him.
There's probably a couple other kids out there I haven't met that I'm their father, so I'm glad to finally meet one in person.
Thank you.
Reed's in a real sister-mom situation, sister or brother-dads. I think you're like the 4th daddy we've introduced on the pod.
A lot of mailman coming through.
I won the league once.
That was a long, long time ago.
Clearly. All right. Well, hi, Dad. All right. Let's move on. Let's move on to our next segment. This is a lightning round. I'm just going to ask you some quick, just one-word answers, some quick questions on college football, fantasy topics. So to just kind of start it off, don't think about it too much. Waiver wire or draft?
Waiver wire.
Trade up or trade down?
Trade up.
The bigger villain, Tyler or Jason?
Don't know either of them, so I'm going to go with Jason.
Prospects or vets?
Say that again?
Prospects or veterans?
Prospects.
NFL or college?
College.
Deshaun Watson or Ben Roethlisberger?
That we're out of time. You don't need to answer that. We're just going to move on. Patrick, go ahead. And,
Yeah, Michael,
finish
so
up.
this is your opportunity to speak your piece, unedited, unfiltered, 15 seconds to get your thoughts out or your shots in.
Yeah, I definitely think that we need to go to 2 quarterbacks. It's ridiculous that we only have one that's in the league. We have 1,000 different quarterbacks. Look at the waiver wire. There's 5 to 15 different players that can be starters on every team. I have 6 quarterbacks on my league. Like, I'm a quarterback guru. Nico did lose his starting job yesterday, so kind of a tough blow to the development of holding those guys. And Dylan Raiola probably isn't the guy, but 2 quarterbacks is a way to go. Let's get with the times.
All right.
All
Thank
right.
you so
Quarterback
much for your time.
guru. Good luck this year.
Thank you. Appreciate it, gentlemen.
That's all the time we have for this week's episode of Is This Thing On? We'll be back next time with a full recap of week 2.
If you want to be a guest on this show or have any questions for us, feel free to reach out. By the way, the AI used to make this podcast caused a forest fire in Belize. So plant trees this week, everyone.